In the heart of London's bustling music scene, amidst the blur of bright lights and echoing melodies, Amy Winehouse and Pete Doherty found themselves drawn together by a shared passion for raw music and a penchant for living on the edge. They met at a small, intimate gig where the air was thick with the aroma of spilt wine and cigarette smoke. Their connection was instant and profound. Late-night jam sessions turned into early mornings, their lyrics spilling over pages like the stories of their lives, intertwined and messy. Pete, with his guitar, strummed the chords that Amy's voice danced around. They were muses to each other, inspiring bursts of creativity that led to songs that spoke of love, loss, and longing. Both were celebrated artists, yet tormented souls. Their lives were a public spectacle adorned with the highs of fame and the lows of personal battles with drugs. The very fire that drew them together also burned wildly around them. Amy, with her voice, could weave pain and joy into a single note. Pete, the rebellious poet. Amy Winehouse was born into a family of Jewish jazz musicians in Southgate, London, England, on September 14, 1983. Her father, Mitch Winehouse, was a taxi driver and amateur jazz singer. Her mother, Janice, was a pharmacist. Amy's upbringing was heavily influenced by music, which had a significant impact on her artistic development. She displayed a strong interest in music from a young age and was particularly drawn to her father's collection of jazz records. This exposure played a role in shaping her musical style, which combined elements of jazz, soul, and R&B. Her grandmother, Cynthia, was also a significant influence, having had a romantic involvement with British jazz legend Ronnie Scott and encouraging Amy's musical pursuits. At the age of 8, Amy attended the Susie Earnshaw Theatre School before moving on to the Sylvia Young Theatre School, a prestigious performing arts school in London where her talent was recognized. However, her discipline was a concern. She was eventually expelled at the age of 14 for not applying herself and piercing her nose. Amy then attended the Brit School, another well-known performing arts institution, which has produced several British music stars. Amy began writing music as a teenager and performed in various bands before signing her first record deal. Her deeply personal songwriting style, combined with her soulful jazz-inflected voice, quickly garnered attention in the music industry. Amy's talent was undeniable. Her debut album, Frank, 2003, showcased her jazz influences and received critical acclaim, but it was her second album, Back to Black, 2006, that propelled her to international stardom. With hits like Rehab, Back to Black, and You Know I'm No Good. Throughout her life, Amy faced many challenges, including struggles with substance abuse and mental health issues. Pete Doherty was born in Hexham, Northumberland, England on March 12, 1979. He had a childhood that was rich in culture and somewhat nomadic due to his father's career as a major in the British Army. The family moved frequently, which exposed Pete to different environments and experiences from a young age. Despite the frequent moves, Pete's family life was supportive and relatively stable. His mother, Jacqueline Mitchells, worked as a nurse and played a significant role in his early life. The family's military background instilled discipline in him, yet Pete was often described as a dreamer who had a natural inclination towards the arts, such as drawing, writing, and playing guitar. His mother nurtured his interest in literature and music. Pete was an intelligent student and attended Nicholas Chamberlain Comprehensive School in Bedworth, Warwickshire. He excelled in literature and history and showed a particular interest in the Romantic poets, whose influence would later be reflected in his lyrical style. His academic prowess led him to Queen Mary College, University of London, where he planned to study English literature, but his passion for music soon took over. During his teenage years, Pete started exploring music seriously, and he was inspired by artists such as The Smiths, The Clash, and The Jam. He began writing his songs and performing, which eventually led him to co-found the Libertines in the late 1990s with Carl Barat, whom he met through his sister, Amy Jo. The band's raw sound and poetic lyrics gained a following quickly, catapulting Pete into the music spotlight. Despite his rising fame, Pete's life was not without struggles with substance abuse and legal issues. However, these challenges also gave his music a poignant vulnerability and authenticity, which resonated deeply with fans and added a complex layer to his public persona. Amy and Pete both struggled with their vices. Amy battled substance abuse and struggled to manage her immense talent, while Pete had a troublesome addiction to breaking the law. Their love was a constant battle, with each of them fighting against their darker impulses, often finding solace in each other's flaws. Their relationship was a mix of brilliance and despair. Throughout their relationship, both families, especially Amy's parents, Mitch and Janice Winehouse, observed them with a mix of worry and concern. At first, they were fascinated by Pete's artistic soul and musical connection with their daughter, hoping that this relationship would inspire her towards a more stable and creative path. Their personal demons cast long shadows over their relationship, and the pressure was immense. The media was relentless, their every move scrutinized and sensationalized. As the relationship progressed, the constant media attention and both artists' struggles with substance abuse made it difficult for their families to ignore the headlines. Mitch and Janice were particularly troubled by the media's tendency to turn personal struggles into public entertainment. They were afraid that the relationship, rather than grounding Amy, was contributing to her challenges. Despite their concerns, Amy's parents tried to maintain a supportive stance. They reached out to Pete, trying to understand him and help both him and Amy find healthier ways to manage their difficulties. They believed that rejecting Pete outright could push Amy further away, so they opted for a cautious approach, offering support while trying to steer Amy towards more supportive environments and choices. Their concern was palpable during family gatherings, where Amy's vibrant spirit was often overshadowed by the pressures of her public life with Pete. Conversations would revolve around their worries, always hoping that Amy would rediscover her passion for music over the destructive patterns that fame had intensified. After a highly publicized incident that showcased their struggles instead of their artistry, Amy and Pete faced the reality that their relationship was becoming more about survival than thriving together. During their tumultuous romance, the media depicted Amy Winehouse and Pete Doherty's relationship as chaotic and intense, filled with public arguments and reconciliations. One of the most public and distressing incidents in Amy Winehouse and Pete Doherty's relationship occurred during an awards ceremony in London. It was meant to be a night of celebration that unfortunately spiraled into chaos. The event was filled with celebrities, paparazzi, and media personnel, all eager to capture moments of glamour and gossip. Amy and Pete arrived together, both looking stunning but visibly tense. The atmosphere was buzzing with excitement, with Amy being nominated for several awards, which put an even brighter spotlight on them. As the evening went on, the intense media attention and free-flowing alcohol seemed to be adding to the underlying pressure. Trouble began when a well-intentioned comment from a fellow artist about their relationship was misinterpreted by Pete as an insult. His reaction was immediate and marked by a sharp verbal outburst, which caught the attention of nearby cameras and guests. Amy, who was already feeling delicate, tried to calm Pete down, fearing that the situation could escalate. Despite her efforts, the altercation grew as Pete became more agitated, raising his voice and making more animated gestures. Amy, overwhelmed by the pressure, broke down. Her tears and Pete's raised voice drew the immediate attention of the surrounding crowd, turning what was a personal moment into a public spectacle. Security intervened as cameras flashed, and reporters scrambled to capture the meltdown. Amy and Pete were quickly escorted out of the venue, but the damage was already done. The next morning, their faces were splashed across every tabloid, with headlines not about Amy's nominations or wins, but about their explosive confrontation and Amy's tearful breakdown. This incident not only highlighted their struggles, but also marked a turning point in their relationship. After this incident, the media and fans' scrutiny became almost unbearable, leading them to reevaluate their lives and the health of their relationship. It was a harsh reminder of the price of their public lives, and the effects of their issues played out under the relentless gaze of the public eye. The constant pressure and scrutiny only worsened their vulnerabilities instead of aiding them in their recovery. With heavy hearts, they decided to end their relationship, even though they loved each other. They parted ways, promising to remain friends and confidants. Their final duet was performed at a small venue where they first met. It was a haunting melody of farewell, filled with all the love and pain they had shared. Amy and Pete's decision to end their relationship brought a mix of emotions for Amy's parents. They were saddened to see their daughter go through yet another heartbreak, but also relieved that she could now focus on healing without the chaotic influence of a partner struggling with similar issues. Amy Winehouse tragically passed away on July 23, 2011, at the age of 27. The cause of her death was alcohol poisoning, and she was found in her home in Camden, London. Her death was a significant loss to the music world and highlighted issues related to substance abuse and mental health, especially in the entertainment industry. Pete Doherty was deeply affected by Amy's death, as were many other musicians and fans across the globe. During that time, he was himself in a vulnerable state, struggling with similar issues. The news of her passing reportedly hit him hard and reinforced the dangers of his own lifestyle choices. His reaction was marked by grief and reflection, as he had not only lost a fellow artist, but also a personal friend. Years later, Amy Winehouse and Pete Doherty's legacy was remembered by the world and the music industry. They were known not only for their tumultuous relationship, but also for the incredible art they created amid the chaos. Their love story, marked by both fervor and fractures, remained a testament to their talents and indomitable spirits. Their legacy was like their love, imperfect, raw, and beautiful, a melody composed in a minor key that still resonated with profound and piercing depth.